For this set of notes, we're going to look at solving one-step inequalities. Now remember, an inequality means that our answer can be more than one number. So for example, if I give you the inequality x is greater than -9, that means that x's value can be any number bigger than -9. So it could be -8, it could be 0, it could be 5, so on and so forth, as long as the value of x is bigger than -9. So solving a one-step inequality is very similar to solving a one-step equation. The goal is still to isolate or get the variable by itself. So my first example, b minus 7 is less than -12. My goal is to isolate the b. So to cancel out the minus 7, I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And -12 plus 7 is going to give us -5. So I get b is less than -5. For our next example, n divided by 3 is greater than 3. So to cancel out the divided by 3, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. Now if I divide something by 3 and I multiply something by 3, it cancels out. And I'm left with n is greater than 9. Now we have y divided by -12 is less than or equal to -5. So to cancel out the divided by 12, I'm going to multiply both sides by -12. That will cancel out. And we're going to get y, -5 times -12 will give us +60. And when we multiply or divide by a negative, we need to flip this inequality sign. So I just went from less than or equal to greater than or equal to. And the reason we're flipping the sign is because every time you multiply or divide by a negative, it's going to change the sign of your original answer. So I started out with a -5, my answer was negative, and then I went to a positive number. So when you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to flip the inequality sign. So our next example says -9x is greater than or equal to -90. So to cancel out the -9, I'm going to divide both sides by -9. And I'm left with x. -90 divided by -9 is a +10. So again, notice my answer started out with a negative. I had -90. And now my answer is +10. So I started out with negative, now my answer is positive. So that means that I'm going to flip this inequality sign. So you try this one. Which graph represents the inequality 2x is greater than or equal to 8? So to solve this one, I would have to divide both sides by 2. That gives me x is greater than or equal to 4, which would be letter A. Now try this one. Which graph represents x divided by -2 is greater than or equal to 7? To solve this, we would multiply both sides by -2. That will give us that x is less than or equal to -14, because I had to flip that inequality sign because I'm multiplying by -2. So the correct graph would be letter B. Next, we're going to look at something called a solution set. And that simply means which values would make sense for the variable. So if I were to replace the variable with a number, would the statement still be true? So in our first example, x is less than -2. So if I were to take 5 and plug it in for x, I'm saying 5 is less than -2. And we know that that's not true. So +5 would not be a possible solution. Okay, next we have -2. So -2 is less than -2, which is also not true. They're equal, but it's not less than. So that one doesn't make sense. Okay, next we have 0. 0 is less than -2. and it's not. Negative 5, however, is less than negative 2. So negative 5 is a possible solution. And negative 1 is not less than negative 2, so that is not a solution. Next, we have x over 5 is greater than or equal to negative 4. So I'm going to solve this inequality first. And to do that, I need to multiply both sides by 5. And that's going to leave me with x is greater than or equal to negative 20. Notice I did not flip the inequality. I started out with a negative in my answer, and our answer stayed negative. So I'm not flipping the inequality. So it's only if the number you bring over to multiply or divide is negative that you're going to flip it. So now we're looking for solutions that are greater than or equal to negative 20. So negative 25, it does not work, but 0 is greater than negative 20. Negative 20 is equal to negative 20. Negative 40 is not greater than negative 20. However, 20 is greater than negative 20. So we would have 3 possible solutions from our choices. Next, we have negative 3x is less than or equal to negative 27. So to solve this, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. And that leaves me with x. I'm going to flip the inequality here. So greater than or equal to positive 9. And the reason I flipped the inequality was because I'm dividing by a negative 3. So that changed my answer from a negative answer, the negative 27, to a positive. So now x is greater than or equal to 9. So we're going to highlight the values that are greater than or equal to 9. And the only 2 values there would be 9 and 10. Right, and lastly, x over negative 2 is greater than negative 5. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2. And that's going to give me that x is less than positive 10. Again, I flipped the inequality because I am multiplying by a negative. The number I'm bringing over to multiply is negative. So x is less than 10. So the values that are less than 10 would be just 9. I don't highlight 10 because 10 is not less than 10. I would only highlight that if it said x is less than or equal to 10. Okay, you try this one on your own. So which of these would be a possible solution for x minus 3 is greater than 5? So when you solve this, you should be adding 3 to both sides. And that would give us x is greater than 8. So the only answer choice here that is greater than 8 would be D, 15. You try this one on your own. Which of these would be a possible solution for x over negative 3 is less than 4? So to solve this, I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 3. And that's going to leave us with x. We get negative 12 on this side. And then I flip the inequality sign because I am multiplying by a negative. So we want the answer choice x is greater than negative 12. So the only answer choice that is greater than negative 12 would be negative 8.